In this video, we're going to talk about Gunslinger Spawn's Pursuit, Past, Present, and Payback. You will see what I mean by the end of this video. Alright, my brothers and my sisters from another mister, this is a comic book review of Gunslinger Spawn, issue number 29, brought to you by RatedComics. Let's get to it. Now, previously in Gunslinger Spawn, Gunslinger exacts his revenge on a foe from the past, meanwhile getting hunted from someone in the future. So we begin exactly where we end off in Gunslinger Spawn issue number 26, now that we're in 27. So this guy blasts Gunslinger Spawn off of his back. He tells him to get up. I thought you were tougher than that. Though, it's been some time since we last spoke. It's about 160 years since then. So he kicks over Gunslinger Spawn's bike and tells him you won't be needing this piece of junk. And Gunslinger gets up like, yo man, do we know each other? Take a good look. What do you think? Gunslinger recognizes him. Carl? That's right. Knew you wouldn't forget me. Well, it has been a long time, but I got a question. Was that you who blew me off that bike? It was. Didn't recognize you at first, but you dropped this. Kind of weird, like you put a hole in my chest, now we cool like that, but it's gonna take a little bit more than an apology to accept your apology, but okay, all things are forgiven here. So Carl tells Gunslinger, you were going pretty fast, didn't know it was you, not used to seeing you on anything but a horse. Well, yeah, but why are you here, says Gunslinger. And Carl's like, really? You gonna ask me that? That's not really a warm welcome from a friend. Well, I could say the same thing too. Well, I told you, you was moving fast. Well, that still doesn't answer my question, says Gunslinger. Look, I'm sure you're still confused, says Carl, about a lot of things. But you hear that noise? That's them sirens. That means authorities. That means we gotta take this conversation elsewhere. So the motorcycle is disintegrated in seconds, and no need to leave behind any clues, says Carl. And Gunslinger's like, yo, I got this dinosaur that Dakota gave me. It's like, nah, bruh. This is the 21st century. There's better ways to travel, so hold on. This might hurt. As a transport for Gunslinger Spawn, it kinda hurts. I mean, he hasn't mastered the art of traveling amongst the shadows just yet, and each time he does travel in the shadows, it reminds him how weak he is compared to them other hell spawns. But that's a topic for another day. So as they get there and they get their bearings, Carl looks at him like, look, I'm sure you're trying to process things. So when I heard that you time traveled, I mean, what's the last year that you remember? And Gunslinger's like 1864 as he gets up and recoups, you know? Well, then all this modern machinery has got to be a lot to take in, right? It's a lot to handle. So Gunslinger Spawn's like, I don't care about all that. I was hunting down Cliff Truman. Remember him? Oh yeah, he's the rancher outside of Tulsa. Well, he did more than ranching, and just like you, somehow he's still around. I'm curious how that works. So Carl goes into a little backstory before he even gets into all that. So I guess he might have something to do with that Cliff Truman guy. So Carl tells Gunslinger about the time that he was hunting his bear. He takes a shot, misses a shot, and after that he goes and pursues that bear because, you know, hunters gotta eat because we hungry like that. But though, in hindsight, he came across a camp. And even though they might have been hiding something or from someone or from something, if he had a bit of sense in his mind, which he didn't have at that time, he should have left the moment he saw them. But he gets approached from behind. And Carl continues to tell Gunslinger, the thing is, you and I wouldn't have met if I had left, and I regret that. You seem to be the only one that gave a shit about me at that time, even more than me sometimes. So what do those guys do? They interrogate him by means of a whipping. And they whooped him so bad that he still walks around with a limp even after the fact. So they tell him, you ready to spell out the truth, boy? I told you, says Carl. You just don't want to hear it. I was hunting. Nothing more than that. Them lies. That's the problem. I don't believe you. Lies. Mister, you ain't listened, I said. And the mister's like, I ain't trying to hear them lies. You gonna see this whip. So mind your tongue. As he goes back, whips him again. And that's gotta hurt. So that's when Carl says he don't remember much after that, but that's when you came. Or the guy with the whip tells the men, tie him to a horse, he needs a dragon. So before they can drag his ass and get the truth out of him, well, Gunslinger comes in, knife to the bro's neck, and that blood is nasty and tasty at the same time. So Carl tells Gunslinger, I know you never told me how you beat them, and you probably will never will, and I respect that, but I wish I could have seen you that day because I bet you were something while you were going to work. And since then, I've seen you shoot. Them boys had no idea what was coming their way. Gunslinger Spawn goes to work, blows the smoke, and they have no idea. So this guy with the whip was like, oh no, not up in here, not up in my house. But before he can whip Gunslinger, he catches a whip with his hand, pulls him out the horse, and now the guy's like, oh, so you're that Gunslinger fella we've been hearing tales about, huh? They say you're a ghost. Gunslinger Spawn's like, oh, I am a ghost, but I'm gonna cut you some slack. here's your water. You're gonna walk back to town, wherever you came from, and tell him you've seen the ghost. Looks like you've got about 3 days of water. So Gunslinger Spawn picks up Carl, and Carl's like, look man, I remember you even took care of my wounds before we headed out. You didn't speak another word until we got to the next town. So now back to the present. Carl's like, you never did talk much, but I guess that's just your way. And still, every time you checked up on me, I should have told you how much that meant to me. And given how I found out you had your own set of problems to deal with, what I went through was nothing compared to you. So here's a smoke. Gunslinger's like, nah, no thanks. So if you've been around since 1864, how? That'll make you over 150 years old. Well, let's just say some things got strange over time, says Carl. But before I forget, what did happen to Amy? She's dead, says Gunslinger. I know you told me, but who killed her? And Gunslinger responds with, the ones I'm hunting. You know things about that? So Carl walks away to the shadows of a nearby tree. Faint sounds of gears begin to whir. As I said, says Carl, strange things happened to me along the way. So not able to see exactly what just transpired, Gunslinger watches curiously as Carl walks to a tree. For a moment, Gunslinger Spawn thinks that maybe this guy could be the exact kind of help he needs. So he picks up a tree, lifts it up, and I don't know what he's about to demonstrate. And Carl begins to talk again. He thanks Gunslinger Spawn for saving him all that they went through together when they were young, but the truth is, they aren't kids anymore. And to get hit with a tree branch of that weight, of that magnitude, you know how they say if there's an earthquake in the woods, will anyone hear it, or like a tree timbers or something like that? Well, that tree timber on Gunslinger Spawn, somebody's definitely got to hear that right now. Look at that thum on there, and that thud and that impact. Now this guy takes out his blaster and tells Gunslinger Spawn, and now I know who the real enemy is. Okay, so we took a whole issue just to establish this and go right back to where we came from, just in a different scene, but we got a backstory behind it. But that is the end of this issue of Gunslinger Spawn, issue number 27. One thing I'm curious about is how is Gunslinger Spawn gonna tie into Spawn 350 when we only got a couple issues left of Gunslinger Spawn before it all ties together? But Gunslinger Spawn is in the real world right now, and Spawn and King Spawn are over here taking place in hell, and the same thing with Scorched. But that's going to be very interesting how this all ties together. With all that being said, what you guys think of the video? Comment below, let me know. Also, link in description if you wish to add this comic book and or any of our other Rated Comics exclusive limited print covers to your comic book collection. Support the art, support the industry. Lastly, this video is sponsored by coffee, so if you'd like to buy your boy a cup of coffee, link in description or donate to the super thanks. But the greatest compliment you guys can do is by liking this video and subscribing to this channel. Thank you again for watching. Until next time.